James, thanks for coming out. James just flew in from London where we were watching football club vie for the European Cup.
Yes, we have a fifth-tier Welsh soccer team called Wrexham AFC. We were competing for the FA trophy, which is like, people have heard of Arsenal and Liverpool, these huge teams. And there's like 4 divisions, and then there's us. But we deeply invested in our little squad. So.
Yeah, nice. So James Toney, Chief Strategy Officer for MNTN and for Maximum Effort, which is the creative agency started by Ryan Reynolds.
That's correct.
All right. So let's talk about connected TV viewing. So every streaming service basically is currently serving ads or will have the ability to serve ads. Netflix, Disney Plus are coming out with those capabilities sometime around the end of the year. What does this mean for the market? And what does this mean for advertisers in trying to decide where they put their money here?
I think what's interesting about connected TV is that it's really becoming the third scalable performance channel. So alongside search and social. So I mean, what characterizes search and social is you have incredible reach, you have the ability to do self-service, and so their total addressable market of their customers is in the millions, where there's only so many Fortune 1000 brands who can afford to commit to upfronts, hire a media agency, hire an agency to traffic your ads, all the tagging, all the analytics. What we've endeavored to do at MNTN is to create a platform that is self-service. We have creative offerings that make TV incredibly accessible for small and medium businesses, and so our business is kind of just growing nicely because we're really focusing on people who never previously advertised on television before. And as the technology works and people are starting to buy television on the basis of return on ad spend, enterprises are taking notice, and so it's been an exciting time for our business.
Well, let's back up a second. You joined MNTN about 2 years ago. Previously, you were at IMAX as head of strategy, and you spent time at 21st Century Fox as VP Technology Innovation. So what's different about MNTN, and what's the nut you're trying to crack that's different from what traditional media companies are
I think it's really understanding that TV can be the scalable performance channel. I think when we think about TV, we've always thought about brand marketing, about trying to do awareness at a high level. But when you look at the brands that have emerged, especially in the D2C space, they're looking at their Google Analytics and saying, what was my return on ad spend on Snapchat or on Google or on Facebook? And no one would ever thought that television could behave in a similar way. But because it's connected to the internet, because we can, we have, patent pending attribution models around, you can't click a TV, but we can see if someone actually goes to the website from a home that we delivered a TV ad into using like a device graph. I don't want to get overly technical, but the tech is extremely powerful in terms of helping people understand the efficacy of their television.
Like you can prove out the connection between sales, or the correlation anyway, right?
100%.
Between impression and sales.
Right. Like it's as simple as you go onto our platform, you put a return on ad spend goal, like $30, and then we optimize in real time where we're delivering ads to in order to help you reach your ROAS target.
So what is the what is the footprint for MNTN? What networks do you work in? What is the reach?
I mean, all the major networks. We're on anywhere that's serving. We call it blue chip inventory. So we're not on like Roku Longtail, for example. It's HGTV. It's Hulu. It's all the brands that people come to expect. And last month, I think we served an ad into 270 million homes in North America. So it's there's incredible scale. It's very easy to use. It's growing rapidly.
What are the challenges for this market? Is it education? Is it just getting the momentum in the market to the point where people do realize that it's you've got the scale of traditional TV with the targeting of internet?
It's just so wildly different. I mean, it depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to like a Hims and Hers who has emerged over the last 10, 12 years, who has grown via performance marketing through digital channels, they're like, oh shit, this is just like Facebook. But if you're looking at one of our Kraft Heinz, who has been buying things in a certain way for a long period of time, they're like, whoa, this is crazy. And so for us, it's Mountain isn't the right solution for everyone's television need, but we are uniquely suited if you're trying to drive to an online conversion point. And so for people who spend all of their time thinking about how to do that efficiently, we are an incredibly easy sale. If you're not, then we may or may not be for you. But there's a lot of room in this space.
Okay. So we've heard this idea of subscription fatigue. There are now, an average of, plus or minus 4 subscriptions per U.S. household, according to some of the latest research. What does that mean, and what does that mean for ad-supported entertainment streaming?
I mean, I think it feels like common sense, right? Like what seems like common sense, that the more ads you watch, the more exhausted you get of ads. But ultimately, the numbers show people prefer to pay less money and watch more ads. And there's a reason why, Mountain, we get incredible opportunities with our network providers is because, people go on Hulu and you see like 50 State Farm commercials. We have hundreds and hundreds of new advertisers who come on the platform every quarter who had never previously been on television. And so I
like the State Farm commercials.
That's because they're fantastic.
Just not 50 of them.
Yes, exactly. And so there's more and more inventory being created every single day. There's more need to optimize, and we need to get more brands onto television. And if we can get the word out that, hey, this can be a performance marketing channel for you, we've seen that growth work, and we think it's going to continue.
Now, isn't another barrier here that, if you want to get into the connected TV space, you don't have creative or you don't have the expertise? Is that a barrier that's preventing small or mid-size marketers?
Massively.
So what's the answer?
Well, we recently purchased a platform called QuickFrame, which is kind of like a Zendesk or a Fiverr for production companies. I mean, it's sort of like not that well of a kept secret that we're all hiring. I'm an agency at Maximum Effort. We create ads for all kinds of brands, and especially our favorite is our own brands, obviously, Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile. But we're always working with different types of producers on different projects. And so they've just used technology to make that process more efficient. And so, we have customers on our platform that are making ads for $3,000, $5,000, like numbers that are absolutely insane to our Fortune 1000 clients. So,
insanely low.
Insanely low.
Okay. Okay. So Ryan Reynolds, does he really, come up with creative concepts?
100%.
Okay.
He's easily our most effective copywriter.
He's definitely a personality. So you and Maximum Effort have created some pretty big campaigns separately from the connected TV network side of the business, right?
Right.
What are maybe some lessons you would share about what brands who are trying to replicate this kind of approach, overlook?
I mean, it's a hard question, but I would say that we do a pretty good job of only trying to do what we know we can achieve. I think, we spend a lot of times as marketers thinking about what's the strategy and what do we need to make sure people understand, and we kind of get ourselves worked up into we're spending all of this money, it needs to work, people need to understand this. And sometimes you just don't need to try that hard. And I would say that a lot of what we do that works best feels the most effortless because we're less focused on ourselves and what we need to say, and more focused on the conversation that's happening and how fun it would be just to be a part of it. And I think we take that fun, we take that energy, and we're willing to take risks with it, and that has led to some great creative outcomes for sure.
Going back to Netflix and Disney Plus entering into the ad-supported space, are they going to just take share from some of the existing players? Are they going to grow the overall pie? I mean, who's the loser here? Is this going to be fewer dollars going to, spots on traditional television broadcasts? I
mean, I think that if there's a certain inevitability, I will say, it's a performance television. It just makes sense. Like right now, when large brands are buying on connected TV, their agencies are looking at the IP addresses that were served and matching those IP addresses to the sales that happened on their website. And that is
in a privacy-compliant way.
In a privacy-compliant way. But we do that in literal real time, and then we optimize the ad buying, right? So what I'm saying is that we're the first we're growing so fast, it's hard to imagine anyone catching us because like usually performance marketers, no one has caught up to Google, right? So I think that if we can embrace television as a performance channel in addition to being the world's best brand channel, there is so much opportunity for television. We believe in it so much. Even as people cut the cord or less people watch,
right.
all of us remember our favorite commercials. But like you would be hard pressed to remember like the last YouTube 15-second pre-roll you watched. And I've got a lot of love for YouTube. Okay? But like there's just something about this format that we believe in.
Aren't Google and YouTube a major competitor for you?
I mean, in a way, but we'd buy inventory from anybody. Like what we do that they don't do, or what Google does, we try to replicate, or what Amazon does, we try to replicate. There's a sales motion to get small and medium businesses onto a platform, and we help them do it in the way that Google and Amazon and Facebook have done in the past. We're just focused on television.
Okay. So talking about the connected TV or CTV, if you want to be cool, all the kids are calling it CTV, right? With so many advertisers coming into the space, how do you stand out? Is it the same question that applies to any medium in terms of breaking through the clutter, or is it different?
I think that it'd be interesting for people to look at it in a similar way they do social. Like if you get into performance TV, you're buying audience first. So when I worked on things like Lincoln Motor Company, I'd be thinking about, let's buy on Mad Men because that's where my audience is watching. But with audience first buying, which happens on social now, I'm buying whatever inventory that they're watching regardless of what network that's appearing on. And so we can be really focused less contextually and more focused on like who our audience is and building like enough assets that we can refresh and keep the message impactful. I think it's a different way of thinking as opposed to like a flighted campaign.
Okay. Now, so the company has an ad agency and an ad network. Mm-hmm. Are those, I guess, first of all, is there a conflict of interest there?
No.
Okay.
I don't think.
But they operate independently? Are there any synergies that you're able to achieve?
Well, there's a lot of synergies. And the reason for that is if you're a small company and you're trying to get into television, creative, like you said, is one of the biggest issues they face. If there's an ad agency in-house that can just whip something up for you, that's super helpful. Also, a major part of what a lot of brands are looking for is just speed, which is like a thing I think Maximum Effort's become known for. And so if people want to do something quickly, not only can we produce it for you quickly, we can also put it into a bunch of homes that you want to get into very, very rapidly. So it's more synergistic than it may seem at the outset.
Now, James, I know you touched on this a little before, but what are some of the biggest challenges for connected TV? How does the industry solve those?
I think there's nothing but opportunity. I really do. I mean, I come into this being like an absolute lover of commercials. Growing up, being as excited about those as I was for the shows themselves. I'm in a company that just feels that way. I think that you can really get people to think differently about something or themselves in 30 seconds that are non-skippable.
Yeah.
And if we just look at this as an opportunity field, I don't see any challenges with it. I just see opportunity. It's so underdeveloped. There's so much space to go.
So aside from just getting to scale, what are some technical innovations that we've yet to see or that could really start to move the needle? I mean, we've heard about interactive advertising for years and years. Why don't we see more of that? What's holding that back, and what's the promise?
And there's a lot of things I think hold that back, but I think we are making strides in it. I mean, something that I'm proud of with Mountain is just being able to measure TV attribution in the same way that someone would measure a click today. The fact that we have a device graph and we know that that uses no cookies, that knows every device that's on an IP address and say, oh, this phone in that house where we delivered this ad went to this website and bought this thing. That is life-changing for brands who need every dollar to count in terms of their media spend. And so I'm incredibly proud of that innovation.
Are we going to see traditional TV just become part of this ecosystem?
I certainly hope so.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, traditional TV, connected TV, it just depends on what your brand goals are. We're just offering a new way to measure it, a new way to target, and a new means of deployment. I still believe in all of the big agencies. I believe in media agencies. I believe in stunting media. I think media is super fun. There are times where we will buy like an entire block and just do our own thing because we think it will crush Twitter if you see the same ad for like 90 seconds, be like, what is happening? Like, there's so many fun ways to use television. So this is one specific thing that we believe in that's helping a lot of companies, but very long on the format.
So some marketers might come to you, you go to them and they say, look, I've done linear TV ads before, I don't need to change my strategy for connected TV. What do you say to that?
I mean, I tell them to look at the evolution they made when social first came around. You know, it's like all of a sudden people started building teams in-house that thought super critically about data, thought really critically about like performance on a post-by-post basis. Let's do that with television if we give you the tools. You know, and we're the first, but there will be others that come in and try to empower marketers to bring more of that analysis in-house. And information is just really powerful. And so I think we're going to see a big shift to more people in-housing the analytics function, and they're going to start making more spots because there's a dollar-to-dollar understanding of if we do this well, this is what's going to happen.
So a lot of the players in the connected TV ad tech space are saying, look, you know, we deliver the audience that you're not getting on traditional TV. Is there a way to sort of prove that out and to segment, you know, hey, I just want to reach the people I'm not getting on traditional TV?
I mean, it's very difficult.
Do it by proxy.
It's very difficult. You know, I mean, there are things that we do in attribution by like being tied into, say, like Google Analytics or Adobe, and if a device in our house, in the house that we served an ad to, clicked on a paid search link or they clicked on, you know, a Facebook ad, then we'll toss that out. You know, we won't take credit for that. So there's ways in which we've figured out how to be exclusively incremental to performance channel.
Which is a requirement for some people, right? Yeah.
But for linear television, it's much more difficult.
Yeah, okay. What, you know, we talked about subscription fatigue, and that's a real thing. What about ad fatigue, right? You've got more usage, more, you know, brands coming into this space. How do you prevent ad fatigue from setting in and becoming a problem where you get diminishing returns from seeing the 51st State Farm ad?
Right, they are great ads, though. I think that it's just about trying to, I mean, there are a couple of principles creatively that we believe in. Everyone knows that we're making an ad. So sometimes they'll get a call like, I don't want this to feel like advertising. And I'm like, too bad, bro. It's like we are delivering an ad during an ad break. It's an ad. You know, the best thing that we can do is just like let people in on the joke and make it a little bit of fun. Whenever Maximum Effort releases an ad, you'd think we're releasing a movie trailer. You know, like we have fun doing it. We put together something that we hope is entertaining. We try to align what the brand goals are, but ultimately we're trying to participate in a cultural moment or trying to build one. And so I think the more that we fall in love with us as mini storytellers as opposed to maker of ads, the better our ads are going to be and the more enjoyable they're going to be to watch.
What are your thoughts on YouTube just announced that they're, for the first time, going to introduce real, you know, frequency capping, the capability to set a limit on a weekly impression goal. Is that a positive step forward?
It depends on what your goals are, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think that there are some instances where, of course, you want a frequency cap. There are others where you don't. I mean, there are going to be some advertisers who are like, I don't care. If my return on ad spend is X, media make all the decisions for me. And there are going to be others who have a lot more brand constraints who are thinking much more differently about how they exist in the world, and they're going to be very appreciative of that. You know, I just think it depends on what your goals are.
So really pulling the camera back, we may or may not be going into an economic downturn. What does that mean for how stuff gets bought and sold in connected TV and in other mediums?
I think recessions are the worst. I think that you're going to see more people thinking really hard and scrutinizing their ad budgets. And ultimately, the things that are going to stick around and persevere the most are the things that are most defensible. You know, it may be like, obviously I'm the performance TV guy, so I'm going to say performance is measurable, of course you should do it. But I also believe in like the power of brand marketing at this time. I think that the more we are feeling a collective emotion, whether that's collective joy or collective pain, there's a moment for us to transcend those moments and do something bigger. Like Maximum Effort's mission is to bring people together, and we think togetherness is like the scarcest good in the world. And that's why we have like a gin company and like a low-cost mint mobile or a 5th-tier Welsh soccer team. These are just things that we believe can uniquely bring people together. And so I think it's more important to lean in when things are tougher and to do the things that are harder. And like that's how you build the relationships with customers that are going to be there with you in the good and bad times.
Okay. We're getting close to time here, but maybe you can talk about the changes that we've seen in connected TV over the last 5 years. It's gone from kind of, I remember Pluto when it first came out. It was like, I mean, it's much different today, but it was an agglomeration of YouTube clips, and it was kind of garbage. But it's much different today. It's a huge business. Why Warren Buffett is a believer in Paramount. But so where do you see the platform in 5 years from now? I mean, we're seeing huge amount of usage, right, on these free ad-supported streaming channels and on ad-supported VOD. Where do we go 5 years from today?
I think the biggest threat to television, connected TV, is just your phone and being on social. I think Snap and TikTok and YouTube, you get going and you just get on a roll. I think you're going to start to see companies think a little bit differently around how they curate the experience of a connected device, a connected television. I think that there's a lot of lessons that can be taken from different short-form experiments in the past. But ultimately, there's a little bit more agency that comes from watching something on TikTok than watching something on a connected TV. And I think the more networks and show creators lean into different formats, the better off connected TV is going to be in terms of longevity.
What do you mean different formats?
I mean, does it have to be 27 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes? And the way in which we do, is it a countdown to what's next? I mean, everyone has gone on to Netflix or Hulu, and then with all of the best intentions in the world, but then it's kind of like online dating. You're there must be something better, and you just keep looking until you just go to bed without having watched anything, And so I think that if we think differently about how these formats can work and how we curate and what the experience is, I think we're in the first inning of what it's like to get onto a connected device and pick a show.
Last question. So what does the data show us today about what is working the best? What's most effective, whether that's creative or the parameters you put around a campaign versus what performs the worst?
And what performs the best in terms of performance, performance marketing, is this is what this thing does.
Yeah.
This is where you go and get it.
It's like a simple message.
100%. I think that it's easy to be I want them to love me forever. That's a big ask in 15 seconds. I think that the more you can do, present what you are in a clear way that's as memorable as you can make it. Just don't let trying to be more make you suffer and not be clear about what you actually provide the customer.
All right. Well, that is all the time we have. James from State Farm. No. James Toney is Chief Strategy Officer of Mountain. Thank you very much.
Thank you.